Hello there, viewers. How are you doing? My name is Hank Badwell, your friendly neighborhood visa advisor. Now, as promised, we are bringing to you the third and last installment of our interview series with Canadian immigration lawyer, Attorney Ken Ziegler, for this week's Immigration Talks. Now, Attorney Ken has been a partner of Enhanced Visa since 2006, and recently we had the privilege of being able to sit down with him to ask a series of questions that I'm sure all of you have on your mind right now. You know, questions like, is it a good time to immigrate to Canada? Or what reassurance do I have if I immigrate to Canada amidst a pandemic? These are the kinds of concerns that many of us have had since borders began to close. So I hope that you're looking forward to hearing these answers. So without any further introduction, let's move on to the remainder of our 1-hour interview. In fact, one of the things that our aspiring Filipino immigrants are thinking is what's really in store for us, for somebody like those who are aspiring, looking at immigrating to Canada post-pandemic in terms of benefits?
Well, virtually the same as Canadian benefits, right?
Yeah, the same thing.
So,
Yeah.
I think on the personal side, we all want to be someplace where we're safe, where we're happy,
Yes.
where we're comfortable having a family, that we have a quality world-class education, free, by the way, that we can send our kids to, that there's community involvement where people get involved in all sorts of community and cultural activities, and the list goes on. So on the human side, that's very much, I think, one of the considerations. And just, sort of a bit of a side observation, despite the dramatic difference in climate, one of the things you will find is that folks from the Philippines adapt extremely well.
Extremely.
And for sure, the next generation don't even recognize that it's a colder climate.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Very
I think
quickly.
I think on that human side, those are issues that people need to keep in mind. On the I guess more the business side of things, again, people want to be someplace where they feel that there's a stable environment, where there's going to be growth, reasonable security, and a social network that essentially will take care of people in times of need. That will continue.
Canada is still the best choice, you could say, Attorney Ken, the best country to immigrate even amidst, certain crises.
Well, I think there's several that fit in. To be fair, I think there's several that fit into the best category. And there'd be personal choices, but there's no question in my mind that we'd be right at the top of the mix in among any of the countries that people would look to. One of the benefits we have that no one else has is this, and we often say, the good news is we live beside the biggest, the strongest, the wealthiest country in the world. That's the good news. The bad news is we live beside the biggest, the strongest, the wealthiest country in the world.
It's a double-edged sword.
What does that mean? It means that we can pick the low-hanging fruit. And when you look at it, and one of the benefits that we've had that virtually no other country in the world has had is that we can sell our stuff We can sell our goods and services to our American neighbors, and they pay us in US dollars, and they pay us on time.
Wow.
That's the good news. The bad news is our American friends are going through a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
So our border is closed, and Canada probably will extend that border closure to keep Americans out, other than essential travel. And it's principally because they're going through a fairly difficult time. They have not responded in the same way as a number of other countries have. And so what we've seen happen south of the border is a cause for concern in the short term. In the longer term, if there's one history and lesson, is that the ditches are littered with people who've underestimated our American neighbors.
Yeah.
So certainly we'll continue as a country to attract people. I think when I first started doing work with Enhance, I remember telling people that if you looked at the ranking of the Philippines in terms of newcomers to Canada, if you looked at the countries that provided the most immigrants to Canada, the Philippines was number 26 on that list. So there was 25 countries ahead of the Philippines in terms of immigrating to Canada. That's when I first started working with Enhance. If you fast forward to today, the Philippines has jumped from being number 26 to being number 1, 2. That is the significance.
Really? Wow. That's huge.
It is huge. It's massive.
It is.
When you look at the numbers, the Philippines has jumped from being number 26 to being virtually at the top of the pile.
Wow. Wow.
And a good part of that is not just students, but again, it's a whole group of professional workers, skilled workers, business people, semi-skilled workers, and the list goes on.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. It's truly massive.
It's quite massive. It is quite massive. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yep.
And the Filipino, when they get to Canada, their ability to assimilate and to blend and to embrace the country and the system is something that the nation itself, you could say, Attorney Ken, something that they appreciate.
Very much. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Good. Yep. So part of this also, and I think this goes to some of the students that might have questions of whether now is the right time.
Yes. Yes.
Part of the consideration is the attitude that exists within industry, employers, and so forth within Canada. There's all sorts of empirical evidence that demonstrates very clearly that employers in Canada prefer to hire people from the Philippines compared to virtually any other country in the world. This is not a made-up thing. This is hard fact.
Wow.
So whether it's again, semi-skilled workers, truck drivers, welders, and so forth, whether it's professional people, whether it's skilled workers, there is a real strong demonstrated interest within industry, within employers, to hire people from the Philippines. Their experience has just been outstanding from both points of view.
Wow, that is absolutely encouraging. As we speak to those who are aspiring just to tell them, that you are being appreciated, that your services will be appreciated there, your culture is appreciated there, is such a great incentive and motivation, knowing that they will be embraced by the employers, by the country which they want to embrace.
Yeah. There's a lot of commonality. The sense of family,
Mm.
the sense of hard work, religious beliefs, a desire to do good, um, a passion to make sure that your children have a better life than you have. All of these sort of shared values make this a lot more seamless than you might think.
Mm.
Even though it may be cold outside sometimes, it fits well.
It's cold outside, but it is truly warm inside.
Yeah, it is too.
For both Canadians and Filipinos. Okay, for the last question, Attorney Ken, we appreciate your time with us, and I hate to give you the last question. And what can you say? What is your message for aspiring Filipino immigrants who are interested in immigrating to Canada?
Well, I think we've covered a fair bit of that already, but I do think that keep the faith. As I say, stay calm, soldier on. This will all pass. Our system is strong. We've got a pent up demand here, which I think is generally accepted as meaning that we're going to see a lot of activity as things pass. One of the things to keep in mind, I think, and this is a lesson that the first world countries have learned, is how vulnerable we've made ourselves through globalization. Okay. So what does that mean? And why would anybody care? Well, through globalization, we have allowed ourselves to outsource a lot of production, and particularly in critical areas. Some of our research into IT, medication, pharmaceuticals, so forth, and a lot of our manufacturing is being outsourced. And when you get hit with a pandemic, it brings all of this into focus. And there's a strong sense that we're going to rejigger our system. And this is going to happen not only in Canada, but I believe it'll happen among the G7 countries, where they will start to manufacture and produce a lot more of the critical goods and services that they need for the security of their country. Why would you care about that? Well, I'll tell you why you should care, because that will demand, again, skilled workers, professional people, researchers, IT, all sorts of folks who, again, would look at training for those skills in Canadian institutions and following a pathway to getting permanent residence and staying in Canada as that unfolds.
So it seems like this whole pandemic has become a blessing in disguise and even added incentive. Like, all right, they want us all the more there. We will be needed there, and all the more they should start, in terms of their application and keep things moving forward towards Canada. Yeah,
that's actually a good point, by the way. Is when you think about these issues, probably not a bad idea to have a timeline up on the wall, and I'm sure you do that already. But decisions made today will take effect tomorrow, and so knowing what tomorrow is going to bring, as best we can tell, we need to make those decisions today so we can get into the system. And when you contrast that against folks who may say, well, you know what, I think I'm just going to wait. There may be others who are just going to wait. And if you get caught up in the crowd that's waiting, your opportunity may be much, much, much more restricted than those who have shown the courage to basically say, this will pass. There will be a need for what I can do. There is a place. Now's the time to go.
So I hope that you were able to take away some things from this interview, be answers or perhaps insights, or simply the reassurance that you need to keep working towards your dream of living in Canada. Rest assured, we here at Enhanced Visa will continue to do our very best to guide you, to support you at every step of the way. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask us or Attorney Ken, please don't hesitate to send them to us at inquire@enhancedvisa.com. And what we will do is that we will be collating all of your questions and we will answer them in next week's video. Until next week, this has been Hank Bedwell. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay informed.